I hope you enjoy watching our fun, adventurous attempt at our first vlog.
We did have a little bit of a incident.
And also the story of how Pat broke his arm. But we'll get to that. So the day started like many of our adventures with alcohol. We went down the mountain that we lived on to the Safeway at the bottom and got a couple tall cans and sat in the back and drank them while we figured out our plan. The plan seemed easy enough. We wanted to try to make it to Aulani without taking the bus. We wanted to ride the whole way. And basically, we just had to go down this one street, cross this other street, cross over the overpass, which, let me tell you, was easier said than done. And on the other side of the freeway was going to be a water park, and past that was going to be this road that we could take, and basically the road would run us alongside the freeway and get us to Aulani. The road was a little confusing though.
Is this our road that we're supposed to be on?
So we made the not so smart decision to go back to the freeway and just ride along the freeway until we got there. So we were riding along, very dangerous, would not recommend it, and we were coming up on a bus stop and a bus drove by. So we flagged him, ran up to the stop, and hopped on.
So we got on the bus and we missed our exit, and we decided to take a nice drive around the island, and we're at another transit center, which is way on the other side of the island and where we want to be.
So let's just put this into perspective. We started here to go here, and we ended up way up here.
So this is supposed to be a beach day.
It's 4 o'clock now.
This is the beach that we're at.
We sat at this transit center waiting for the bus for what seemed like hours.
Waiting for the bus, waiting for the bus.
But thank goodness we had what we like to call tainted Gatorade.
So we finally made it. There's Jess back there. Well, we haven't made it to the beach yet, but we made it back from our wrong turn. And now we're actually we're riding our last little distance here, and then we're gonna get to Ko'olina, where the water is.
So we finally make it to Ko'olina, and I'm a little bit ahead of Pat, and he stops to get some footage of the waterfall and to take a picture of the sign, and I go on and am at the bottom of this hill that he's stopped at. I wish that I had been at the bottom of the hill recording, because right after this clip, he kicks off and comes flying down the hill at like 25, maybe 30 miles an hour, and at the bottom of the hill is railroad tracks, and his only option was to really try to make it over the railroad tracks. The first 2 tires went over, but the second 2 got stuck and basically launched him into the air, and he did a beautiful tuck and roll and popped up and was smiling, and we thought everything was okay, you know. We thought maybe he would just be a little sore the next day.
So we made it to Aulani. Here you go, you can see behind me. We made it here. We did have a little bit of a, I don't know if you can see it or not, bit of an incident.
We kind of laugh now looking back at the scene because his elbow is actually broken in this video clip. By the time we finally made it to the beach, we were so hungry because we had only been drinking all day. We hadn't eaten anything, and we had been, going on this wild adventure. And so we just popped in the water quickly and cooled off, and Pat got to put his elbow in the cool water, which I think made it a little more comfortable. It was starting to hurt at this point. And we walked up to longboards and sat down to have dinner. The view was beautiful, and we had an expensive but delicious dinner, and people watched for a little bit, had a couple more drinks, and watched the sunset. By this point, though, Pat was getting more and more uncomfortable, and his elbow was kind of swelling before our eyes, and we still had the mission of making it home. So we hopped on our first bus and then caught the second bus.
One more stop and we're home. Long day.
The bus that runs this late drops us off about a half a mile from the house. So here's a clip of us just kind of walking home after the adventurous day. You can really see Pat favoring his elbow at this point, but we're going to go home and try to sleep on it still and see how it feels in the morning. We had a horrible night sleeping, and his elbow was super swollen in the morning and very painful. So we got an appointment with the doctor, and they took x-rays and basically told him he had a fractured radial head. They put him in a half splint and gave him a sling for a couple weeks, and then he's just on limited movement for about 6 to 8 weeks until it heals. So that was our first weekend vlog. It didn't go quite as planned, but it was fun and we still had a good story to tell. Hope you enjoyed.